We are back. That's right. We are back to the Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus podcast show. This is podcast show number 10. Number 10. And it is a very special podcast show. This is show number 10 of the Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus. My name is Dr. B. We want to thank everyone for listening. Apple Podcast, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Instagram, all the platforms, iHeartRadio. Thank you for picking us up. Listen, radio, also thank you, but particularly iHeartRadio. Thank you for picking us up. This is show number 10. It's entitled, unfortunately, it is entitled The Mass Shootings in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio. It gives me, this is a tough show, and I was not anticipating talking about these issues, and I'm not going to spend that much time because these are events that just happened over the weekend. And normally when I do these podcast shows, I do them on the weekend. So this is very, very fresh. And I have really I'm going to stick to what I was going to talk about. But I had to mention the mass shootings in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio. And both are extremely tragic and truly unfortunate, and you have to feel for the individual lives lost, the individuals who are injured, the families who will have to deal with this mass shootings in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio. And all the information that is being presented right now is truly disturbing of who shot them and the situations that occur. It's still shocking. It's still very, very fresh. And when you slow down, you think about these issues, it's extremely, extremely hurtful that this is happening in our country, and there are reasons why. A lot of people like to avoid these issues. When events like this happen, I wait to get more information as much as possible. So I'm not going to pass judgment, but these are unfortunate issues that we have to mention, we have to talk about, even when it's fresh. And how these two issues and my past shows connect are the issues, are truly the issues, truly the issues that, I feel very compassionate about. From my book, Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus, Understanding, Empowerment, and Solutions for College Students. I take this very, very serious. And as I said in previous shows, things happen, particularly during the summertime. And it relates to race and ethnic relations in our country in 2019, 2020. But particularly now. And it's been continuing, particularly for the past 20 years. And I say this because I'm a college professor. And I see it happening on college campuses and in my college classes on a regular basis, where people do not communicate with one another, with people who are different than them. That's the saddest part. People who look different than them, we don't communicate with classmates who are different from us. And this relates to race and ethnic relations. Hello. I'm deeply, deeply saddened for every life lost in these tragic mass shootings in El Paso, Texas, as I actually heard when I was on the road in another city, and the events were happening, and it was being shown at a local restaurant. And then I wake up this morning and I hear about the mass shooting in Dayton, Ohio, which I have a connection with because I'm a Buckeye. I'm raised from Ohio. I'm born and bred from Ohio. Dayton, Ohio is 15 minutes away from where I grew up. I spent a lot of time in Dayton, Ohio. I have relatives in Dayton, Ohio. I love Dayton, Ohio because it's truly a diverse, cosmopolitan, progressive city, of which I spent a lot of my high school years going to the night scene, the nightclubs, when I was a high school kid and a college kid. So I know Dayton, Ohio very well. So it really saddens me to hear about the mass shootings in Dayton, Ohio as well. So again, I was going to hesitate to do a show because this is very, very raw, but I'm going to stick to the topic of what I was going to talk about, and I'm going to state, and that relates to the issues of race and ethnic relations. I just want to read one page from my book because it relates to the issues, and I'm pretty sure it relates to the issues of these mass shootings and what is happening in our country right now, in the United States, in America, right now in 2019 and 2020. I felt this coming on for a number of years, and I had to write this book to break out some basic concepts which we don't talk about, which are essential for all of us getting along, particularly when you send your child to college, when you send your grandchild to college, when you send your great-grandchild to college, or when you are going to college for the first time. I start off with these major, and I'm 8 minutes in. I'm just going to spend this show highlighting one page of my book, and I don't know how far this is going to go, but please bear with me. This is in, I have to back up very quickly. This is in chapter 3 of my book of race and ethnic relations, chapter 3. When I break down the major concepts and definitions, I start off with race and ethnic relations, defining race and ethnic relations. Here we go. The phrase of race and ethnic relations refers to the ways in which people of different races and ethnic backgrounds living together in the same community behave toward one another. Behave toward one another. This is one of the most simplest concepts and definitions in this field of study, yet the most overlooked issue by many scholars, researchers, teachers, administrators, and students. The reason is that it causes all of us to assess how we behave to one another. In other words, how do we truly treat each other, not just living together in the same community, but interacting, intermingling, talking, understanding, appreciating, and respecting each other every day, not just during a special social, cultural, or ceremonial event, but each and every day of the week, particularly for college students. Who must interact with various racial and ethnic groups daily simply because they share the same living space, share the same classrooms, share the same social events, share the same student groups, share the same sporting events, and share the same party events on and off campus. Therefore, the definition, this is so critical. Hello, America. Hello, the U.S. This is again, I'm coming from academia. You got to make everything a teachable moment. This is very, very tough and raw to make the events that happen less than 24 hours, 48 hours teachable. But I'm please bear with me, as this is how I stabilize myself when these things happen in the world and in our so-called United States. Therefore, the definitions of race and ethnic relations covers multiple levels of significance to average college students because they must ask of themselves these significant questions. Here are the significant questions that the average college student must ask of himself or herself. Oh Lord. 1. How well do I interact with students of different racial and ethnic backgrounds? 2. How many friends do I really have who are of a different racial and ethnic background? 3. How well do I intermingle with students of different racial and ethnic backgrounds? 4. How well do I talk with students of different racial and ethnic backgrounds? 5. How well do I understand students of different racial and ethnic backgrounds? 6. How well do I appreciate students of different racial and ethnic backgrounds? 7. How well do I respect students of different racial and ethnic backgrounds? And number 8, how do I feel when I'm around lots of students of different racial and ethnic background? Wow. Ask these very simple questions, and the answers that you get may surprise you in 2019, 2020. Because many students have not had these opportunities, even at large mainstream universities, even at small private colleges, even at historically, racially, ethnically defined colleges and universities. I'm talking about HBCUs, HSIs, Hispanic Serving Institutions, predominantly Asian American institutions, and Native American institutions. Answers to these questions for the individual college students are the starting point for better understanding some hidden issues connected to race and ethnic relations. That's why it's important to define and clarify the significance of this very first major concept, race and ethnic relations. This is so vital on college campuses, at universities, and across America. See, this is where these concepts from my book relate to the major events that are happening in our country. That's the unfortunate aspect. I really try to focus just on college campuses across America, but events are happening in the United States right now that I have to speak about. I'm not going to be silent about it. I just speak about it in a teachable framework. That's all I'm trying to provide, a framework for it. So, define race and ethnic relations. Answer these questions yourself. How do you feel about how individuals react with one another who are of different racial and ethnic backgrounds? How many friends do you really have? How many times do you intermingle? How many times do you talk? How many do you truly understand? Do you appreciate? Do you respect? And how do you feel when you're around majority of students of different racial and ethnic background? That will tell you a lot about the person and the persons. Why are we still so uncomfortable with people who look different than us? Day to day, city to city, town to town. Why do we have so much pent-up misunderstanding? Hate. I'm just asking the question. Why? We can get answers if we have more opportunities. Answering these questions also reveals the sensitive nature of this topic. Not only to the individual college student, but also the entire college university community, which includes administrators, faculty, staff, and local community residents. What would be the response from college administrators, faculty, staff, and local community residents to these very same questions? More than likely, the responses would be different, yet they would reveal a number of sensitive, hidden issues that we all have about an individual or group that is different from us. These are the hidden issues that most folks do not talk about, yet assume that everyone knows about. We assume that all college students know how to get along with each other of different racial and ethnic backgrounds. And we assume that all college students have a deep knowledge base about each other. Yet the fact is that a majority of college students, and I'll say majority of Americans, U.S. Americans, and I'm just saying U.S. Americans based upon the events that are happening, do not know how to get along with other people of different racial and ethnic backgrounds. And a majority do not have a deep knowledge base about each other. The same is true of college administrators, faculty, staff, and college and community residents. And as I further say, thus we must make the college experience, everyday life, for all a teachable moment in time. This is the moment to learn about the basic issues of race and ethnic relations. This is the moment to better understand the major divisive issues connected to each racial and ethnic group. This is the moment to empower oneself with understanding of racial and ethnic relations. Most importantly, this is the moment where all of us can come together to create new solutions for better race and ethnic relations on all college campuses, off of college campuses, throughout urban, rural, suburban America, as well as communities and neighborhoods all across the United States of America. That's what I said about race and ethnic relations. That's how I define race and ethnic relations. This holds true today in 2019, 2020, and beyond. We have to get back to answering these questions. And this comes to each and every one of you who are listening, who bothered to listen, who asked a simple, who will answer hopefully answer the question. I was, like I said in previous shows, I was always raised to connect with people who were different than me. Not just those who are in my immediate community, in my African American neighborhood, but those who I attended school with. And I was very, very fortunate to attend school in Ohio, in Xenia, Ohio, raised in Wilberforce, Ohio, raised in Springfield, Ohio, and had a very diverse set of friends who I got along with practically all the time. And that's the way I was raised during the 50s, 60s, and 70s. What is happening today? That's what I want to say. Please respond. What is happening today? Why are we avoiding positive race and ethnic? We're not positive, just race and ethnic relations issues. Basic race and ethnic relations issues. It comes down to these basic concepts. And I framed this initially for college students. But what's happening in the world, in our United States today, we don't have to go outside of our borders. Hello? And who is going to speak up on these issues? Which leaders are going to speak up on these issues that are happening in major cities today? In 2019, who's going to take the lead? Everyone wants to make their politically correct statement after the fact, but no one is taking the lead and talking about these issues before they happen or at the moment it's happening. I'm doing my best to make this somehow, some way, a teachable moment. And it is very, very difficult to keep my emotions in check at this point because it's very personal. I'm not going to disassociate from these events. This is very personable, and I hope you take it very personable because it can affect your family, your loved ones, you at a moment's notice. So these are very serious issues. This, I can't tell you how serious it is beyond. It's unfortunate. And again, I stopped myself. I'm not going to go there. But I want to, and I stuck to the topic of my show that I was going to do this weekend. And it's to define race and ethnic relations. And it definitely connects to the major events, the mass shootings that just happened over the weekend in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio. My prayers, my love, everything goes to the victims, the families, the loved ones, to out all of them. My deepest prayers. So again, this is a very difficult show to do, but I had to stay on topic, and that's all I'm going to say. Please spend some time thinking about the concept, the definition of race and ethnic relations. Do your best. That's all I'm saying. Just everyone do their best. Don't run away from the topic. Do your best to reach out to someone who looks different than you. That just make the step. I'm not talking about developing all different change up. I'm just saying one-on-one each and every day. When you see someone who is different than you, talk to them, listen to them, respect them. See if you can connect with them. And that is very hard, and I can see this in my college students. That is very hard for my college students today. And I have to do different exercises in class for students to really communicate with one another. Because they think they know each other, but they really don't. So again, I stick to this topic because I do my best for the average student to connect with people who are different than them. And I like to learn from the next set of students each and every year. It's a learning process. It's a teachable moment in these concepts from the book, Race and Ethnic Relations, Understanding Empowerment Solutions for College Students. So, but I am very, very saddened from the events that happened. And again, I just say my deepest prayers for all the family members. This is podcast show, Race and Ethnic Relations on Campus, podcast show number 10. You know what the title is. I will talk to you again soon. Peace out.